Hey everyone, Thyworm here, with my last couple of days in Settlers of Kalguur. You liked the previous diary, so here's another one. It may be the last, for now. Up next are guides again, on town building. Last episode I was level 92, and let's first start with showing you how far we got in the next couple of days. I've made significant progress, the build is mostly online. I'm still not swapped to the block cap build, but I have found myself a lightning coil which I might use, and overall, now that most of the hard work is done, I'm very happy with the results. This guy runs maps very smoothly, especially if you're playing a route in tight corridors, because you explode the entire screen, and then some. It is very satisfying for sure. But this isn't how it all started, so let's go back to level 92. At the end of the last episode, I was still struggling quite a bit. Damage was low, tankiness was okay-ish, but tier 16 maps didn't feel comfortable that much. Plus, I had much progression work that had to be done. Here you see me still doing tier 14, for example, working my way to unlocking some void stones, in this case the Maven. The main priority was map sustain and gearing my character. Good thing I'm running strong boxes, because from time to time you get drops like this. For the Atlas progression, I had to run plenty of maps still. I found the Twilight Temple, which is a fun instance and it got me another point, and then something very fortunate happened because I dropped a 6-link with the right colors, meaning I could finally 6-link Righteous Fire, which is of course a massive DPS increase. I put in Life Tap, which I already leveled in the offhand. Something else that is continuously getting updated is my loot filter. Here you see how many div cards I am still showing, and whenever I have a completed set which I don't need anymore, I take it off the filter. I do the same with uniques, I collect them all and then take them off. It works well in Solo Self-Found. I've also encountered more and more of the newly added old league mechanics, which makes mapping even more interesting. You have the Reflective Mist from Calendar League offering mirrored rings and amulets. There's a Nameless Seer again. Sentinel has returned, although it doesn't synergize all that well with builds like Righteous Fire, which jump into mob packs, I noticed. You kind of have to wait before the Sentinel tags everything. The Wildwood randomly appears and it still makes monsters incredibly hard to kill, so nothing has changed really. And ultimately, by grinding quite a bit, I made it to level 95. For the foreseeable future, that's going to be the cutoff point, until the moment we get much better gear, which is this section, right? The gearing. And talking about the gear, here's another interesting little thing that happened and why I just love Solo Self-Found. There's a divination card called the Web, and it gives a magic item with the mod can have 3 crafted modifiers. And I got it on an elemental scepter, which is what we're using. So naturally, you put an augment orb on there, because who knows, you might get something decent. Like, you know, +1 fire gems, for example, something like that. I regaled stun on it, which isn't the best, but then could still craft 2 more mobs, meaning fire dot multi and fire damage and ignite, which is just really solid in Solo Self-Found. We closed our eyes, like Chris intended, and slammed mana on there, which is actually useful in our build. And here it is, pretty much a best in slot weapon for this stage of the league, considering it is Solo Self-Found. I'm running Vaal Temples whenever I can in Solo Self-Found. It's a lot of fun and you may get unexpected upgrades. For example, here you see me looting a level 1 fire trip with 23% quality, which is an upgrade as soon as it is leveled. And I'm crafting a bit of a cluster jewel here with 2 great mods, some chaos res, and this is, yeah, it's pretty good. In a few more levels, and once I go block, I can improve this even more. We're crafting regular jewels too, hoping to get lucky with jewels that start out with max % life. This one turned out very well and we get to use it straight away. From more div cards I got both a 6-link and a lightning coil, which I have yet to link. I think lightning coil might work as well instead of cloak of flame, but I have to check. Let me know in the comments if you know about this. Anyway, that 6-link looks decent, and after coloring it, which wasn't all that easy, we crafted it into a very respectable piece with life, chaos res and a bit of armor. We use Exarch and Ether currency, roll the max fire res, which means I'm now capped at 90% all elemental resistances. And with all of these upgrades and reaching level 95, I'm investing a bit more in damage now. I put on a Cast on Death portal combination for the mapping, and it is about time to take Atlas completion a bit more seriously, unlocking those favorite maps, getting all void stones and killing some more bosses. Despite all the upgrades and reaching level 95, boss damage is completely horrendous. This is a white baron, guys, and even I die. I'm not happy with myself at this point, but we must soldier on, honestly. By killing the Eradicator, we unlock one favorite map slot, which is nice, and we rinse and repeat that by killing another Guardian, this time the Phoenix, which takes another eternity, but we get the job done. By leveraging the Boss Rush Atlas tree, which you can find in my SSF resources, the final bosses of maps drop plenty of other maps after I've spent another 30 seconds killing them. This lack of boss damage really hurts progression quite a bit in solo self-found, which is something I underestimated somewhat, to be honest. Key-rec missions help as well for all of this. For example, I'm getting a lucky roll here on the Putrid Cloister, which is another map that I have yet to complete. The Putrid Cloister is one of the few unique maps that are actually fun. I think the rest is kinda lame. We take on a few more bosses, meaning the Cortex with 4 synth bosses in one go. Fun fight, but unfortunately no flask this time, and we pay Cirrus a visit, another fight I absolutely love. The music and voice acting alone in this fight is simply a masterpiece, but the mechanics are great too. Despite low DPS, we are Chaos Res capped and have 89% or even 90% elemental resistances, so it takes quite a bit to kill me. Except degeneration on the ground, which easily wipes the floor with the Righteous Fire Chieftain. We loot the gloves and in true RNG fashion butcher it within a few Val Orbs. By having Maven witness all these bosses, we can run the Twisted Invitations, plus a few others. They all take ages, but they go fairly well, except the one that has the synthesized bosses, which for whatever reason I am fluking, meaning I now have to find and run 4 more synthesized maps. Pretty bad, but okay. Maven is a fight I am very familiar with, so getting her down only takes 2 portals, which isn't bad at all. Be mindful of those rotating beams as they stop you from regenerating life, which means that on Righteous Fire you instantly die. Apart from that amazing boss fight, this gives me the 3rd Voice Stone. And now it's time for the real challenge: Elder, Shaper and Uber Elder. For most builds this isn't really too difficult, but if you're on a build that does no DPS, these fights are very tense and a lot of fun. I know these fights relatively well by now, but typically my DPS is high enough that I don't have to worry too much about all the different phases and mechanics, but this time not so much. The only way to complete these challenges is by properly doing the bosses, which almost feels like a new experience, and it makes you realize how well designed these bosses are, despite how old they are. These fights are very interesting, and you get good loot as well still. I found 2 prismatic jewels, for example. Then it is Shaper time, where I unintentionally learn that I cannot in fact face tank Shaper slams, and those balls, they hurt like hell, while I can pretty much face tank the beam. Interesting. Anyway, I do manage to kill him twice, just like I killed the Elder twice. That means I now have 4 fragments. I turn them in with Harvest Crafting into the correct ones, and then we're off to the Uber Elder. A truly challenging fight in my case. I casually use all 6 portals to kill him, and we have unlocked our final Void Stone. And sticking to bosses, I encountered another boss in a random instance inside of a map, the Starfall Crater, which spawns this guy. It's pretty cool. I'm tanky at this point, so I can just face tank basically everything. I love these little surprises though. It is great that this is all in the game. Talking about surprises, despite a 0% chance of something happening with my shipment, something happened with my shipment because it was commandeered by Admiral Valerius. For a non-native English speaker, commandeering sounds fairly positive actually, but I guess it isn't, because I must fight this guy who bombards me with cannons and drops his anchor on me. But we're tanky AF and just take it all. The rewards for taking this guy down at this stage of the game are significant, so commandeering isn't too bad after all, I suppose. After all these ordeals, we can finally do what we made the build for, which is running toxic sewers. This will be my home for the foreseeable future. It took a few days in SSF, but the reward is absolutely there. This feels great, and there's still room for improvement by going max block. Up next for the channel, like I said, is very likely no more SSF diaries, but rather back to guides. Now that I've completed the town and gained valuable insights on that, which I would love to share in several videos. I've already begun writing the scripts. And that's it. Let me know what you think. I hope you had a great league start as well. Subscribe and like for more PoE SSF content. Thanks so much for watching and making it to the end. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.